The Galactic Zoological Society prided itself on maintaining the most comprehensive database of life forms in the known universe. That was, of course, until they discovered Earth, and more specifically, until junior researcher Blop made the mistake of presenting their preliminary findings on Earth's wildlife to the Society's High Council. "Esteemed colleagues," Blop began, their gelatinous form quivering with excitement as they adjusted the hover screen. "I present to you Classification Report X7249, Wildlife of Sol 3, Designation Earth." The assembled council of the galaxy's finest xenobiologists settled into their various appendage-appropriate seating arrangements, expecting another routine presentation about some backwater planet's collection of photosynthesizing blobs and basic invertebrates. "Our first specimen," Blop continued, "is a common Earth predator designated Felis catus asterisk, which primitive humans have somehow managed to domesticate." The video feed showed a house cat pouncing on a laser pointer dot. 3 council members promptly fainted. "As you can observe, this creature demonstrates impossible acceleration vectors, defies several laws of physics, and can apparently detect and intercept weapon-grade targeting systems," Blop said, pausing to dab their membrane with a condensation cloth. "And this is what the humans keep in their dwellings for fun." Dr. K. Zix, the Society's senior xenobiologist, raised a tentacle. "Surely this is an apex predator on their world." "No, respected elder," Blop replied, their voice modulator crackling with stress. "This is what humans classify as, and I quote, a lazy house pet." The council chamber erupted in chitters, clicks, and various gaseous emissions of disbelief. Moving on to their larger species, Blop pulled up footage of a grizzly bear catching salmon. The council's collective screaming nearly shorted out the chamber's acoustic dampeners. "By the sacred spores," Dr. K-Zix whispered, "that creature is using tools and advanced hydrodynamic calculations in its head while hunting." "Indeed," Blop continued, their color shifting to a nervous mauve. "And yet this isn't even classified as one of their more dangerous species. That honor belongs to specimens like this one." The screen displayed a honey badger breaking into what appeared to be a reinforced research station. "Notice how it systematically disables our security measures," Blop commented, their voice reaching a pitch usually reserved for warning sirens. "We lost 3 research drones and a coffee maker to this single individual. The humans call this, quote, Tuesday, unquote." Dr. K-Zix had seen enough. "Stop the presentation. This requires immediate action. Either this planet has developed the most sophisticated biological weapons program in galactic history, or what, respected elder? Or we're dealing with something far more terrifying, natural evolution with absolutely no adult supervision." The council chamber fell silent, broken only by the soft thud of another fainting xenobiologist hitting their cushioned safety mat. "Blop," Dr. K-Zix announced, their tentacles trembling with authority, "assemble an emergency research team. We need to understand how these humans have survived on a death world that apparently manufactures living weapons as a hobby. And someone please revive Dr. FLX. They're starting to evaporate from stress." As the council members filed out, Blop began compiling their research notes, quietly wondering if it wasn't too late to transfer to the Department of Theoretical Physics. At least antimatter wasn't cute, cuddly, and capable of dismantling a research station for fun. The classification of Earth's wildlife had just begun, and already the Galactic Zoological Society was woefully unprepared for what they would discover. Though, in their defense, no one in the galaxy was truly prepared for the concept of a platypus. The emergency research team assembled by the Galactic Zoological Society looked less like scientists and more like a special operations unit preparing for orbital warfare. Dr. K6 had insisted on Level 7 biosecurity protocols, which meant everyone except Blop was wearing enough protective gear to survive a supernova. Blop, being essentially a sentient puddle, had simply doubled their surface tension and hoped for the best. Our first objective, Dr. K6 announced from within their reinforced containment suit, is to make contact with a local wildlife expert. The Society has arranged for us to meet with one Dr. Marcus Flynn at something called a, quote, zoo, unquote. Is that some kind of military installation? Asked Chief Security Officer RX, checking the charge on their particle shield for the 7th time. Unknown, replied K6, but given what we've seen of Earth's wildlife, we must assume so. The team materialized outside the San Diego Zoo, where Dr. Flynn was waiting for them. He took one look at the assembled aliens, blinked twice, and reached for the first of what would become many aspirin tablets that day. "Welcome to Earth," Flynn said, trying not to stare at Blop, who was anxiously attempting to hide behind a pamphlet stand. "I understand you're interested in our wildlife." "Interested is an inadequate term," Dr. K6 replied, their voice muffled by several layers of filtration systems. "We need to understand how your species has managed to develop such an advanced biological weapons program without destroying yourselves." Flynn's brow furrowed. What now?" "Your biological weapons," RX interjected, brandishing a data pad. "For instance, this specimen, designated Vombatus ursinus, which you've engineered to be virtually indestructible and capable of crushing predator skulls with its posterior." "You mean the wombat? Even the name sounds tactical." Flynn pinched the bridge of his nose. "Look, wombats aren't weapons, they're just wombats. Nothing we have here was engineered. It's all natural evolution." The entire alien delegation took 3 simultaneous steps backward. "Natural?" Blop's voice modulator hit a frequency that shattered a nearby drinking fountain. "You mean these creatures developed naturally?" "Well, yes," Flynn said, leading them toward the first exhibit. "Though, if you think wombats are impressive, wait until you see our collection of Australian wildlife." "Australian?" Dr. K6 queried. "A continent where evolution basically took a bunch of caffeine and decided to experiment," Flynn explained. "For instance, this is a cassowary." The alien researchers stared at the large, flightless bird with its razor-sharp claws and horn-like casque. "Observe," RX whispered, "how it maintains constant eye contact while calculating multiple attack vectors." "It's just eating a melon," Flynn sighed. "Tactical melon disposal," Blop screamed, dissolving slightly in panic. The day continued in much the same fashion. Flynn would attempt to explain normal Earth biology, while the alien researchers documented everything as if they were observing weapons tests. The situation reached its peak at the small mammals exhibit, where a squirrel had wandered in from the nearby park. "Amazing," Dr. K6 breathed, watching the squirrel bury an acorn. "Their basic infantry units can calculate seasonal weather patterns, implement long-term resource management, and maintain an encrypted database of supply caches, all with a brain the size of a walnut." "What's a walnut?" RX asked. "Another of their biological smart bombs," Blop replied confidently. "I saw one crack open a containment shell all by itself." Flynn had given up on explanations and was now just documenting everything for what would become either his resignation letter or the most interesting research paper in human history. "Perhaps we should move on to the feline enclosure," he suggested, immediately regretting his words as he remembered Blop's initial report about house cats. "The laser-dodging units," RX clutched their weapon closer. "Shouldn't we wait for reinforcements?" "They're taking a nap right now," Flynn assured them. "Power conservation mode," Dr. Kazix nodded sagely. "Truly remarkable." As they approached the big cat enclosure, Flynn couldn't help but wonder how these beings would react to learning about the platypus. But that was a mental breakdown for another day. Right now, he had to somehow explain to a group of terrified alien scientists why the lions were playing with a cardboard box. "Advanced materials testing," Blop whispered furiously, taking notes. "In broad daylight, the audacity." Flynn reached for another aspirin. It was going to be a very long day. The Galactic Zoological Society's research team had established their base of operations in what they believed to be a secure location, a suburban backyard in Connecticut. Dr. Flynn had tried explaining that his sister's house wasn't exactly a military-grade research facility, but the aliens were convinced its strategic location near a bird feeder made it ideal for observing Earth's wildlife in their natural training grounds. "Log date 47B," Dr. Kazix dictated, peering through a quantum-enhanced spotting scope. "We have identified what appears to be a primary training facility for Earth's aerial assault units." "That's a bird bath," Flynn muttered from his lawn chair, not bothering to look up from his crossword puzzle. "Observe how they systematically rotate through the facility," Kazix continued, "each unit performing precise aquatic maneuvers while maintaining constant surveillance." "They're splashing around because it's hot out," Flynn said. Blop, who had been attempting to disguise themselves as a garden hose, suddenly rippled in alarm. "Movement detected. Unknown entity approaching from Sector 7. A tabby cat sauntered into the yard, heading straight for the research team. "Combat unit detected," RX screamed, activating their personal shield. "Initiate emergency protocols." Flynn sighed. "That's just Mr. Whiskers. He lives next door." The cat stopped, sat down, and began grooming itself. "Fascinating," Kazix whispered. "It's performing pre-combat maintenance routines right in front of us. The psychological warfare aspects alone." "Look," Flynn started to explain, but was interrupted by Mr. Whiskers deciding that Blop's amorphous form looked like an interesting new water feature. The cat padded over and delicately touched Blop with one paw. The resulting chaos would later be described in galactic security reports as the Connecticut cat catastrophe. Blop, in their panic, attempted to retreat in 17 different directions simultaneously. Mr. Whiskers, delighted by this new game, pounced. The research team's sophisticated monitoring equipment recorded the following sequence of events. 0 hours, 0 minutes, 1 second. Blop achieves temporary flight. 0 hours, 0 minutes, 2 seconds. Mr. Whiskers demonstrates impossible mid-air maneuverability. 0 hours, 0 minutes, 3 seconds. Dr. Kazix becomes entangled in their own protective gear. 0 hours, 0 minutes, 4 seconds. 3 separate emergency beacons activate. 0 hours, 0 minutes, 5 seconds. RX attempts to negotiate with the cat using advanced diplomatic protocols. 0 hours, 0 minutes, 6 seconds. The bird bath is declared a casualty of war. Abort mission, K6 shouted from beneath an overturned lawn chair. "The combat unit has breached our defenses." Flynn watched as Mr. Whiskers, having terrorized the alien research team, curled up for a nap in a patch of sunlight. "Should I log this as a successful field test?" Blop asked from their new position, draped over the fence. "Speaking of field tests," RX interjected, emerging from behind a shrub, "what's that unit doing over there?" They pointed to a squirrel performing its usual routine of digging, forgetting where it had just dug, and then digging somewhere else. "By the sacred spores," K6 breathed, "it's conducting ground penetration exercises. The randomized pattern the deliberate fall starts. This is advanced guerrilla warfare training." "It's just being a squirrel," Flynn explained for what felt like the 1,000th time. "No species develops this level of tactical expertise naturally," K6 insisted. "Next, you'll tell us that your, quote, raccoons, unquote, aren't specially trained infiltration specialists." Flynn suddenly became very interested in his crossword puzzle. "Dr. Flynn," Blop's voice modulator hit a nervous high note, "why aren't you refuting that statement about raccoons?" "7 across," Flynn muttered. 9 letters, starts with D, deliberate avoidance of a topic. Before anyone could pursue this line of questioning, a new sound drew everyone's attention. Something was moving through the underbrush at the edge of the yard. "Multiple contacts," RX reported, checking their sensors. "Small units moving in formation." "That'll be the Thompson chickens," Flynn said. "They sometimes get out of their yard." The alien research team watched in horror as a group of chickens emerged, scratching and pecking at the ground in what they were convinced was a sophisticated minesweeping operation. "Ground warfare units," Blop burbled in panic, "with built-in terrain manipulation capabilities." "They're looking for bugs," Flynn tried to explain, but the research team was already calling for an emergency evacuation. As the aliens scrambled to pack up their equipment, minus several pieces that Mr. Whiskers had claimed as tribute, Flynn couldn't help but smile. He'd been saving the really interesting animals for later. After all, they hadn't even gotten to the part where he explained about honey badgers yet. And somewhere in the distance, a raccoon was figuring out how to open a supposedly raccoon-proof trash can, proving that sometimes the aliens weren't entirely wrong about Earth's wildlife. After the Connecticut cat catastrophe, the Galactic Zoological Society's research team insisted on relocating to what they deemed a more secure facility, which turned out to be an abandoned mini-golf course in Nebraska. Dr. Flynn had stopped questioning their Logic 3 aspirin bottles ago. "Today," Dr. K6 announced from inside their newly upgraded containment suit, "we begin documentation of what our preliminary research suggests is Earth's ultimate biological weapon." "Please tell me we're not doing what I think we're doing," Flynn groaned, nodding the transport container being wheeled in by a very nervous-looking RX. "Behold," K6 declared, "asterisk Mellivora capensis asterisk." "You brought a honey badger to a mini-golf course?" Flynn pinched the bridge of his nose. "A honey badger to a mini-golf course." "The terrain provides excellent observation opportunities," Blop explained from their new position inside a reinforced aquarium. "Multiple elevation points, strategic obstacles, and," they paused dramatically, "windmills. The windmills are plastic tactical windmills." Before Flynn could explain why this was all a terrible idea, RX began the release procedure. The transport container, which appeared to have been designed to hold a small supernova, clicked open. What happened next would later be classified as the Nebraska nuclear nevermind in official reports. The honey badger took approximately 0.3 seconds to assess its surroundings, decide it didn't care for them, and begin what the alien researchers described as implementing total battlefield dominance protocols. "Observe the tactical efficiency," K6 shouted from atop the replica lighthouse where they had teleported in panic. "It's systematically dismantling our defenses." The honey badger had indeed already destroyed 3 pudding greens, conquered the pirate ship, and was now engaged in what appeared to be psychological warfare with a ceramic flamingo. "Note how it ignores conventional damage," RX reported, as their stun beam merely annoyed the creature. "The humans have developed perfect armor." "It's not armor," Flynn tried to explain. "Honey badgers just genuinely don't give a—" He was interrupted by the sound of the windmill being converted into spare parts. "Sweet, merciful spores," Blop's voice modulator hit a frequency that shattered their aquarium. "It's adapting to use our own technology against us." The honey badger had somehow weaponized a golf ball. "Log update," K6 dictated to their emergency recorder. "The specimen demonstrates unprecedented problem-solving abilities, immunity to conventional weaponry, and—" They ducked as the golf ball whistled past. "Impressive accuracy with improvised ammunition." Flynn watched as the creature systematically deconstructed the entire mini-golf course, occasionally pausing to give the research team what he swore was a look of profound disappointment. "Should we attempt containment?" RX asked, now hanging from the scoreboard. "Negative," K6 replied. "This is clearly a demonstration. The humans are showing us what their elite units are capable of." "It's literally just being a honey badger," Flynn sighed. But he had to admit, watching an entire alien research team being terrorized by Earth's most infamously persistent carnivore was oddly satisfying. The situation reached its peak when the honey badger discovered the snack bar. "Tactical resupply," Blop screamed, having reformed themselves into a rough approximation of a ball washer. "It's establishing a forward operating base." "It's eating stale nachos," Flynn corrected. "Weaponized nutrition." The Galactic Security Council would later receive a 47-page report about the incident, complete with detailed analyses of the honey badgers, advanced combat techniques, and revolutionary approach to strategic resource acquisition. Flynn's repeated statements that honey badgers were just like that were carefully noted and interpreted as obvious disinformation. As they watched their research site being systematically reduced to rubble by what Flynn insisted was just a particularly motivated weasel relative, Dr. K6 made a decision. "This requires immediate escalation to the highest authorities," they announced, dodging another golf ball. "The Galactic Council must be informed." "About what?" Flynn asked, already dreading the answer. "Earth has clearly developed the most sophisticated biological warfare program in known space. These creatures, these perfect weapons, must be officially classified as Class X military assets." K6 activated their emergency beacon. "The Council will convene within the hour." As the research team prepared for emergency evacuation, again, Flynn wondered if it was too late to switch careers. Maybe something less stressful, like bomb disposal or professional volcano diving. The honey badger, having completed its renovation of the mini-golf course, waddled off into the sunset, leaving behind a thoroughly traumatized alien research team and what would later be described as abstract art installations where the windmills used to be. Somewhere in the distance, a raccoon figured out how to open the snack bar's supposedly raccoon-proof dumpster, because some cosmic jokes just write themselves. The Galactic Council chamber, normally a model of dignified deliberation, had devolved into something more closely resembling a panic room with better furniture. Dr. K-Zix's presentation on Earth's wildlife had been running for 3 hours, and they were only halfway through the squirrel footage. As you can see, K-Zix indicated a slow-motion replay of a squirrel performing a perfectly executed leap between trees. Their basic infantry units demonstrate impossible agility while maintaining complete operational security. It missed the branch and fell into a bush. Flynn interjected from his position at the witness podium. Tactical repositioning. The council members, representing species from across the galaxy, shifted uncomfortably in their various forms of seating. Many had already activated their personal shield generators. One particularly nervous representative had encased themselves in a bubble of quantum-hardened spacetime. And now, Blop announced, their form barely maintaining cohesion due to stress, we present evidence of their apex predator units. The display showed footage of a house cat knocking objects off a table. Note the methodical testing of gravity weapons, RX narrated. Each item is carefully selected for maximum psychological impact. That's just Mr. Whiskers being a jerk, Flynn started. Gravity manipulation specialist, the council's chief administrator, a being composed entirely of crystalline thought structures, chimed with concern. These capabilities seem impossible without advanced genetic engineering. Dr. Flynn, how does your species explain this? Flynn stood up, straightened his tie, and delivered what he hoped would be a reasonable explanation. It's called natural selection. Basically, everything on Earth has been trying to eat everything else for billions of years, and these are the ones that got really good at not being eaten. The chamber fell silent. You mean, the administrator's crystals pulsed with horror, these capabilities developed naturally through combat evolution? Well, yes, Flynn replied, though I wouldn't call it combat exactly, it's just nature. Nature? Blop dissolved slightly. You're saying your entire planet is one giant weapons development laboratory. No, that's not, Flynn began. The evidence is clear, K-Zix interrupted. Earth must be classified as a restricted military research facility. They're not weapons, Flynn finally snapped. Look, where are all of you from? What's wildlife like on your worlds? The council members exchanged uncomfortable glances. The administrator chimed hesitantly. Most civilized worlds evolved from simple, cooperative species. Our wildlife is reasonable. Reasonable, Flynn repeated. Right, show me your most dangerous animal. After some discussion, the council displayed an image of what appeared to be a floating ball of fluff with enormous eyes. The deadly Zorblax, the administrator announced proudly. It can deliver a mild shock equivalent to static electricity. Flynn stared at the image for a long moment, then started laughing. Oh my God, he wheezed. You're not afraid of Earth because we engineered superweapons. You're afraid because you've never seen actual wildlife before. I don't understand, K-Zix said. Flynn pulled up his own presentation. Let me show you something. This is what we call natural selection, and it all started about 4 billion years ago when the first single-celled organisms decided that other single-celled organisms looked delicious. What followed was a crash course in Earth's evolutionary history that left the council alternately fascinated and horrified. Flynn explained predator-prey relationships, adaptation, survival pressures, and why everything in Australia was trying to kill everything else. So you see, he concluded, nothing on Earth was engineered. It's all just the result of billions of years of things either getting better at staying alive or becoming lunch. But the honey badger, Blop protested weakly, is just really, really good at not being lunch, Flynn finished. Though I admit that one might be a little bit spiteful, too. The council chambers buzzed with discussion. Finally, the administrator spoke. We appear to have made a significant error in classification, they chimed. Earth's wildlife isn't a weapons program, it's metal as hell. Flynn suggested, I was going to say an unprecedented example of evolutionary advancement through competitive survival strategies, but your term is more succinct. The reclassification vote was unanimous, though several council members insisted on maintaining their shield generators throughout the proceedings. Earth would not be labeled as a restricted military facility after all. However, the administrator added, we would like to propose a cultural exchange program. Our citizens could learn much from studying your wildlife. Like what? Flynn asked. How to be, as you put it, metal as hell. As the council session concluded, Flynn couldn't help but smile. He still had one card left to play. Before we go, he said casually, would you like to hear about something we call a platypus? The resulting chaos would later be known as the Great Council Chamber Incident of 2024, and several species had to evolve new ways to faint. 6 months after the Great Council Chamber Incident, Earth had become the galaxy's hottest tourist destination. The Galactic Zoological Society had opened 17 new research stations, each strategically positioned near what they still insisted on calling high-value tactical observation points, but which were mostly just public parks with good bird feeders. Dr. Flynn, now bearing the grandiose title of Chief Xenocal Education Officer for Terrestrial Murder Evolution, he hadn't chosen the name, sat in his new office at the Galactic Wildlife Cultural Center, watching aliens react to his latest educational video series. Why everything in Australia is trying to kill you, and why that's actually perfectly normal asterisk. The gift shop is struggling to keep up with demand, Blop reported, having finally mastered the art of maintaining a professional shape while within 50 meters of a house cat. The I Survived Earth's Wildlife t-shirts are particularly popular. How's the new research team doing? Flynn asked, noting that Blop was now only slightly rippling at the sight of Mr. Whiskers, who had been promoted to Chief Feline Relations Officer after the Connecticut incident. Dr. K-Zix's latest paper on squirrel warfare tactics was very well received, Blop replied, though we're still dealing with the fallout from last week's raccoon incident. You mean when they broke into the secure storage facility? 17 different security systems, quantum-locked containers, and temporal containment fields, Flynn asked. Blop's voice modulator hitched slightly. They got through all of it for half a sandwich. To be fair, Flynn grinned, it was a really good sandwich. The Galactic Tourism Board had started marketing Earth as the planet where evolution went hardcore, and visitor numbers were breaking records. The most popular attraction was the newly established Extreme Wildlife Observation course, where aliens could safely watch Earth creatures doing absolutely nothing special while convinced they were witnessing elite military training exercises. Oh, Blop bubbled enthusiastically. The council approved our proposal for the new platypus research facility. How many researchers fainted during the approval meeting? Only 3 this time. We're building up a tolerance. Flynn checked his calendar. Is it time for the Honey Badger documentary premiere? Yes, Blop replied, somehow managing to look nervous despite being essentially a sophisticated puddle. Though I still think the title is a bit much. Nature's Middle Finger, the honey badger story asterisk. Tested well with focus groups, Flynn assured them, especially the part where it breaks into the research station's cafeteria. That wasn't supposed to be part of the documentary. Best footage we got. The premiere was a massive success, though several viewing theaters had to be equipped with emergency containment fields to prevent panic evacuations during the more intense scenes. The honey badger became an overnight galactic sensation, leading to a merchandise line that would make Disney jealous. As Flynn wrapped up his day, he found a memo on his desk from the Galactic Council. They were requesting information about something called a wolverine. "Should we tell them?" Blop asked, peering over his shoulder with what passed for concern. "Let's wait until they've fully recovered from the platypus revelation," Flynn suggested. "Besides, we haven't even shown them a cassowary yet." "What about the upcoming ocean wildlife series?" Flynn smiled. "You mean the one about how we have a fish that can punch through battleship armor? The mantis shrimp episode made 3 reviewers evolve anxiety glands they didn't previously possess," Blop noted proudly. As they left the office, Flynn caught sight of a raccoon teaching its offspring how to break into the new raccoon-proof waste disposal units the aliens had insisted on installing after the sandwich incident, apparently still believing they could outsmart several million years of evolution specialized in getting into things that were supposed to be impossible to get into. "Should we warn them?" Blop asked. "Nah," Flynn replied. "Some lessons need to be learned firsthand. Besides, I hear they're planning a special documentary about urban wildlife adaptation. Working title, Trash Pandas, Earth Special Operations Units." "Perfect." And somewhere in Australia, a platypus was doing absolutely nothing unusual, which was, by every other planet's standards, completely impossible. But that's just Earth for you, where evolution decided that normal was for planets that weren't trying hard enough. Post-credit scene. A classified report made its way to the Galactic Council's highest security level. The subject, preliminary findings on Earth aquatic species designated dolphins, evidence of evolutionary trolling. But that's a crisis for another day.